now I also asked you about the books. So this is the cool thing. Look at this. Renars podcast. How beautiful is that? And you look on the open space, and you have all these guys here you talk to. Blah blah blah. So artistic. And here's some of the titles we have. How do you even pronounce that?
That is the Tao of Jeet Kune Do by Bruce Lee.
Yeah, I started reading it. I wasn't totally full of shit. I started reading it, and one of the things what I straight away noticed. Well, it's quite a difficult read because it's not a storyline. It's at least in the first 20%. That's how far I got. Yeah. But it was all these quotes, and he's taking from these Tao. Was it? Who was it from? It was from these.
But it's basic. A lot of it is from Confucianism and Taoism.
Confucianism. Here you go. Yeah.
So Bruce Lee was a massive philosopher. As well as being
a lot of people don't know that about him.
A lot of people don't know.
It's insane.
I would go as far to say he was as much into philosophy as he was into martial arts, and it massively influenced who he was and how his martial arts developed. So the Tao of Jeet Kune Do, although Jeet Kune Do is his martial art that he devised, the Tao of Jeet Kune Do, it contains so much philosophy. It shows you so much about how Jeet Kune Do was developed, where it sort of started in his mind from a philosophical sense.
Yeah, I'm trying to open my Kindle. For some reason I can't, because I took out some of the quotes he used, but like what I remember from in the basics, he was so against the system.
Yes, very much
He was really against the system, and one of the ways he was showing that anyone who is doing martial art, whether it's traditional judo, karate, whatever, they are following these basic rules where we've been around for 4,000 years, and he was all about let's be different, let's be fluid, let's do, and that's what Jeet Kune Do was standing for.
Correct. So it actually follows the principle of Taoism, that everything has to be sort of in the present, simplified, organic, flexible, malleable. You know, the whole idea of pouring water into a cup, you become the shape of the cup. The water becomes the shape of the cup. You pour,
be the water.
Be the water. So from a philosophical point of view, in life, you don't want to be rigid, because in life and in nature, things change. They evolve. They're good, they're bad, they're hot, they're cold, they're easy, they're hard. That life in general never stays static. You cannot depend on anything to stay the same all the time. You know, night turns into day, turns into night, and we've got seasons and all that kind of stuff. So
is that the original?
That's the original cover, yeah. It's the same one that I've got. So the philosophical side of it is to be flexible, to be one with nature and move with everything that moves, because nature always moves. In doing so, you will have a peaceful and enjoyable life. That's how the philosophy goes.
Yeah.
So he applied the principle to martial arts. All martial arts are rigid systems of systematic moves that follow a set pattern that never changes. In theory it works, but in a real fighting situation, it doesn't, because a fighting situation has an unlimited number of variables. You've only got to watch UFC and MMA and even street fights that you can now watch on YouTube. No single fight is the same.
So if you would be still alive when MMA or UFC would be out, would you think you would be like, oh yeah, I recognize this is cool?
Probably.
Because I mean, MMA does consist from so many different martial arts. There's grappling, striking, all of that.
I mean, you could probably say that modern day UFC MMA, it takes a lot of the ideas of Jeet Kune Do, whereby you can't always be so rigid about this fight works, this technique works. You can have an idea of techniques and templates and drills and stuff that work, but you've got to be flexible enough to be able to absorb anything that comes your way in any direction, in any manner. If you're fixed in a particular pattern of movement, no, I can only block in this way.
Yeah.
Then
I think the typical example is karate. Yeah. When we start doing Shotokan, and when you do the katas or the forearms, and you block like this, you block like that. It's like even then I was like, it never gonna happen like that. And then as soon as we did actual kumite, actual fighting, then you realize, all we do, we just push with our hands off, or we get out of the way. That's more advanced.
Yeah.
And actually. this is something else I want to talk to you about is the this karate thing. What I just found, karate combat, where as I told you, this Latvian guy. This is this guy. His nickname is the Bear Slayer, because in Latvia we have this. So he's fighting a Brazilian guy. So Latvian dude is in this golden belt. So whoever is the champion wears the golden belt.
Okay.
And he's been champion for like 5-6 fights, whatever. So when you look at them, how much do you see traditional karate?
Nothing.
It's pretty much non-existing. I don't really get it. Like, especially the Latvian dude, the bald guy. So he's like, it's such a boxing technique, and then he throws kicks in. It's a kickboxing.
It is essentially kickboxing, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Because at the end of the day, the goal is to knock the guy out, to score points by making hits. So you want to be doing that in the most efficient and destructive way possible. And unfortunately, a lot of traditional martial arts don't facilitate that. And that's why Jeet Kune Do came about, to achieve the end result in the quickest, in most efficient possible manner.
One of the things I remember, he was talking about the punch. Like when you stand here, if your hand is here, why would you go as karate would go like they preload it and then go with the full stop? You go straight away, you punch, and that's what he was showing, and that's what he had, the famous finger punches and all that.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
yes, and that's really the thing. You know, he was very much against systematic type martial arts, even the martial arts he came from, which were Wing Chun and traditional Kung Fu. There were so many things wrong with it that's how he developed Jeet Kune Do. But for me, the Tao of Jeet Kune Do was less about the martial art and more about the philosophy. I didn't know. I thought it was about martial arts. So not long after Best of the Best, I watched another film called Dragon, the Bruce Lee story, starring Jason Scott Lee, and that made me think twice about karate because it dramatized it, but it told me the story of Bruce Lee in a certain manner. And I went and bought this book from W.H. Smith's at the time, and I started reading it. And at the time, I didn't really comprehend a lot of it because I was still quite young.
Oh yeah, and it's very.
But what it really made me think was, okay, I don't want to do karate anymore. Not because I don't like it, but because I feel that I need to progress into something different, into something that will open my mind a bit more. And it's because of the Tao of Jeet Kune Do that I actually finished doing karate and then went into Kung Fu. And obviously then into Wushu. But this had a massive, massive impact on me because I read this all throughout my teenage years, over and over and over again. Learning more, not just from a fighting aspect, but from a philosophical aspect, teaching me to be organic and flexible and open-minded with things. You know,
I think like the expression "go with the flow" is perfect.
Go with the flow is
it's perfect for this kind of book. And I would not. Thanks. You see, like this is what I do. I enjoy to have my guests now in the future, and I always ask 3 best films, 3 best books, because if I haven't seen them, haven't read them, I would go into it. So the other 2 books you chose, this one we had. I'm just gonna do the Google thing. I listened it by Napoleon Hill. So Think and Grow Rich.
Yeah.
Is this the original one? Not sure. And I actually read it before a while ago, and I was like, "Oh, it's nice to recap it." And so my favorite points, or the best points, which I noticed, and kind of because also I was doing audio, so I probably would do some training, whatever. It's difficult to get the essence, but what I got from it is just persistence, the persistence of what you believe, and just never give up, and then it's just. Obviously it's a whole book about it, but in general that's a rule for anything.
Correct.
Anything you do in your life, even if you could be the worst, but you just continue persisting, eventually you're going to prevail.
Absolutely. So Think and Grow Rich, despite the title was really given to the book so that it would sell, because obviously everybody wants to
be rich.
But the principles and philosophy behind this book,
different kind of rich.
It's the original How to Be Successful book.
Yeah,
that's what it is. and it teaches you principles and philosophy of how to be successful in anything, like literally anything, including how to get rich, wealthy, if you apply the principles to that. It was my coach that put me onto this book. So I'd never heard of Napoleon Hill or this book before that. So this was something I read as an adult. And I've probably had to read it maybe 6 or 7 times to grasp 99% of it. And I would say that as an adult, this has had the biggest influence on whether I've achieved something or not, and the things that I have been successful in, also against the odds, like winning the European Championships twice in my mid-30s. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, well, obviously, straight away, you're the only one.
Yeah,
you know, that shows already that someone who can achieve that. That's insane.